This time, I'm going to put this on the microphone. You're not going to hear my and also, I got a wider angle camera. Really feels like I'm holding up the head of somebody that I've just killed in like a gladiator fight or something. Like I'm holding it up and I'm just giving my like lecture to it. But I wanted to talk about the difference in time scale that there is between the work that I do with visual effects and things like this. I think there's a dichotomy in art and how I interact with art anyway, between improvisation, spontaneity, off the cuff, and the more analytical, grind until it's perfect kind of attitude. So when we're in visual effects, it can sometimes be hours spent dedicated to a single frame or at least a few seconds of frames. And you come to respect just how many frames there are in video. I find a lot of satisfaction in doing things spontaneously like this or improvising on the piano, and it's very therapeutic in contrast to the kind of work that I do with visual effects, because I'm just here in my room. I'm not perfecting anything really, I'm just talking, and I think that it's very easy to get bogged down by the technical aspects or the rules of the game. And I remember I talked to you very recently about this, and I said I think that fluidity and spontaneity when creating art comes from knowledge of the rules. It's like a jazz musician where they play the scales, they play the chords, and really done the objective hard yards, and eventually you reach a point where it is fluid and it seems mindless almost. It reminds me of language in a way. You don't have to think about the emotion that you're trying to portray. In most cases, you're just speaking and then emotion is coming out of you. You're not actually concentrated on the minutiae of what words you're using or how you're moving your mouth, which is something that you're thinking about when you're learning a new language. And there's this beautiful moment when you're creating art or communicating something where you feel as if the thing that you're doing is genuinely attached to some feeling, that you're actually speaking truth to something that's inside you, and you've converted it into some material, whether that is a video, a painting, or words coming out of your mouth. And there's an even more satisfying moment when you feel as if somebody else has understood what you said or what you've produced. I can envision this sort of purist, absolutist about art who's locked away in a house in the woods and they make beautiful art and nobody ever sees it. And I can see that as being escapist in some sense. Like I can see that being kind of cowardice in a way, to sort of couch your expression in such obscurity that you're like, nobody will understand this, or I shouldn't communicate this with anybody because like they wouldn't get it or something, or deliberately trying to make your art not understandable and not have it be articulated for the purpose of being consumed. Like maybe that's a cope. Maybe that's a cop out. Yeah, but you know, I'm a fan of art that is more interpretive. So you know, maybe I'm swimming around in these ideas. I'm not anchored anywhere necessarily. There's also a lot of joy to be found in discovering something new. Part of the reason that I like these digital tools is that they do feel new. Like all of the machine learning stuff, that's some real shit. That's like, it hasn't been seen before. These kinds of images. There's a whole new tool set and a whole new set of emotional responses, and not to mention the kinds of new artifacts coming out of it. just like with any other medium, there's going to be mistakes, biases, artifacts, aberrations. The artifacts for machine learning are really cool. I think they're quite different to any other artifacts that I've seen before. It's very painterly. It's almost paint strokes. And they're quite beautiful. They're really hitting this weird middle ground between very human feeling images that are like some of the most digitally advanced things that we've made so far. It's a whole new world. It's still getting better every day. It's crazy. I guess what I'm hoping to do in the future is continue to make things, above all, continue to create things, but to start pivoting maybe towards things that are a little more human in their character. Because if I look at the previous video that I made, and I think about my history with this medium of video, this is how I started. Like, I was talking about self-consciousness there, but in reality, I've taken backward steps. Like, I learnt that self-consciousness. It was not something that I had originally. So in a way, doing these things is a matter of undoing a lot of that maybe cynical attitudes about creation, or about what my creations say about me. So I want the things that I create to be me. I definitely did as a kid. Like, I would kind of like play with imaginary characters, and if you were to just do that as an adult, like, you got to put that in a box eventually.